Hello and welcome to Loppy Loves. If you haven't been here before, my name is Lauren and on this channel we talk about my life as a foreigner living in Iceland. So today I'm going to talk about the challenge that I did last month in February, where I spoke only Icelandic for the entire month with my boyfriend. So last November I was listening to the Inlendinga podcast on Spotify, which is a podcast about foreigners living in Iceland and just interviews with foreigners living here. And this episode was with Jules Chambers, who runs a YouTube channel and podcast called All Things Iceland, and her channel's really good. You should go and check it out. I'll post links for everything in the description box below. And about halfway through the interview, she mentioned a challenge that she had done with her husband of just using Icelandic together for a whole month. And I thought that sounded terrifying, honestly, but also fun and probably a really good way to sort of fast track learning a little bit. So I suggested it to my boyfriend and he also agreed that it would be a good idea for both of us because neither of us are comfortable using Icelandic together. We got to know each other in English when we were friends and haven't really changed much. I get really shy speaking Icelandic in front of him, so if we're with someone else and I'm speaking Icelandic, I sort of feel my Icelandic just starts slurring and just it turns into gibberish because he's there and I'm aware that he's there and listening. And he also finds it a bit uncomfortable speaking Icelandic to me, just because we're used to using English and we know each other in English. But it is important for us to be able to speak both languages around each other, because I don't want to have to switch to English around his family and when he's with his friends. And he needs to get used to my accent, so we just thought this would be a good idea to try, and we did put it off for quite a while. So like I said, I listened to this podcast in November, and I was busy with my business in November and December, and it was Christmas, and my birthday was in January, and I didn't want to do the challenge on my birthday, which is a rubbish excuse. So we agreed that it would be February that we would start this challenge, and I was kind of hoping that he would forget by then, but the last week of January he was getting really excited, like, we're going to be speaking Icelandic next month, and I was like, oh no, he remembered. And I was kind of dreading it. So to start, I'm just going to talk about some of the ways that I had been learning Icelandic for the last 5 years, and then we'll get into the challenge and my feelings on how it went and if I do it again. So after my first trip to Iceland at the end of 2016, I was fascinated by the language. It was one of the things I loved most about my visit, was just seeing all these ridiculously long words with like multiple letters that didn't go together in a word. And I started just researching a bit about the language and looking for learning resources. My second trip to Iceland, the first time that I came by myself, was a month after my original trip. So I came alone to celebrate the New Year from 2016 to 2017 for a week. And after that trip, when I went home, on TV, I think the day that I arrived back home, there was an advert for an Icelandic TV series that had just played in the UK and was now available on a catch-up service on the internet. And that TV show was called Case in English or Réttu in Icelandic. And so what I did, I went onto the internet and I found a website called Icelandic Online, which I believe is provided by the University of Iceland. Might be wrong, I'll have to check that. But they have like free Icelandic courses for anyone in the world, and I just took the fast track course and then watched for like 8 or 9 hours in a row the entire series of Réttu in Icelandic with English subtitles. And I was starting to make out a few words, like just very basic, like yes, no. I could just pick up a few things like that, and it's a really good series. I really enjoyed it. I believe it was season 3. I haven't seen the first 2 seasons, but it is really good and you should watch it. Although I've heard a lot of Icelanders don't really like it. People that I've spoken to here don't think it's a good show. I thought it was a really good show. And after that trip was when I'd kind of decided that I was going to move to Iceland, and I was just looking at ways to do that. and I downloaded an app called Memrise on my phone, which is still my favourite language learning app. And I would do my Icelandic practice on the bus on the way to work, on the way home, and in my lunch breaks, coffee breaks at work. I was always on this app just practicing my Icelandic with these little games. And I learned quite a lot, I feel, off this app in the few months before I moved here. And I had a really proud moment on the plane on the way to Iceland. I was sitting near the front of the plane and it was just like in the little row of 3 seats. I was by the window, there was an empty seat, and then there was an old man by himself on the aisle seat. And he kept like looking at me strange throughout the journey. And then when we were just about to land, he asked me in Icelandic, "Are you an Icelandic girl?" And I replied in Icelandic, "No, I'm an English girl." And then he asked me something else and I had to switch to English because I had no idea what he said. But I was proud that I got to the point of being able to understand a question in Icelandic before I moved here. After that, I was still using Memrise for the first 6 months that I was living in Iceland, and that was when I found Lingva, which was a free Icelandic school in Reykjavik. Don't think it exists anymore. And it just provided a really short condensed version of the Icelandic classes that you can pay for here for free. And I mean, it's super short, so it's only 1 month long. I think it's twice a week, so it was 2 hours a week for a month, and the whole thing was just 8 hours in total for each level. And I believe the actual proper Icelandic courses that you pay for are like 40 hours a level, so this was a super condensed version. And I took Icelandic 1, 2 and 3 with Lingva, and that's the only Icelandic school I've been to. So altogether, that's what, 8, 16, 24, I've only done 24 hours of Icelandic school in real life. So that's not even a full course's worth of Icelandic school. And the rest of my Icelandic mostly just came from working. Wow, I have learned so much just working and interacting with customers, interacting with colleagues in Icelandic. That has really fast-tracked my Icelandic learning, and that's how I learn best anyway. It's just immersion and just trying my best to speak. And there's also been a few other apps like Drops, Bluebird Icelandic and Label Icelandic, which have also been helpful in trying to learn. I don't use the apps as much anymore. I still have them on my phone, I just forget to use them, honestly. I think they're really good, but I just forget. I also try to read the news in Icelandic and just see how much I can understand. And I don't really watch a lot of TV here, but when I do watch Icelandic TV, I normally just try my best to keep up with it. I find it easiest if there is Icelandic subtitles on the bottom of the screen. That's not always possible, because then I can read what they're saying and follow along that way. And when I'm watching TV, I tend to keep a little notebook next to me, and I will write down any words I misunderstood or that I haven't heard before, and get the definition of them after I've finished watching. So now let's get into how the challenge went. So I was incredibly nervous for this, and I had no faith that we were going to complete the challenge, at least that I was going to complete the challenge. I thought I'd give up after a few days, or I thought that we were not going to talk at all for the whole month. Like, we were just not going to talk, have deep conversations. It was just going to be me being too shy to talk to Sirion. But it was a bit easier to get into than I thought it was. The first day we kept forgetting, obviously, that we were doing this challenge, and then one of us would start speaking in English and the other one would be like, no, we're using Icelandic this month, and switch back. But it actually only took about 2 days to get into this and feel more comfortable, which I didn't think I'd feel comfortable at all during the challenge, but after 2 days it just felt fairly natural, actually. And I was speaking more than I thought I'd be able to with him, and he was surprised at how much I was able to speak. Like, just keep speaking. And the first week just flew by, and it was great. It wasn't too difficult, and I was actually enjoying it and having fun. I think he was also enjoying it too. And the first week, I was amazed. I was like, wow, This is working so well. This is great. We should have done this a long time ago. Sirion was correcting my grammar because my grammar in Icelandic is not the best. It's one of the things I struggle with most. But it just felt like we'd been doing this for ages, at least to me it did. It felt like we'd been doing this for a long time, and I was thinking this was going really well. But it did start to get a bit boring towards the end of the second week. I was starting to feel a little bit just fed up, and I just wanted to have a conversation with him in English again. And I also started to feel a bit relieved when I had some colleagues at work to speak to in English. Now at work I speak only Icelandic with some people, and they're people that I got to know in Icelandic, or colleagues who don't speak English or don't speak English confidently at least. And I also have colleagues that I speak to just in English because either they don't speak Icelandic or we got to know each other in English. And then I have colleagues that sometimes use English with me and sometimes use Icelandic. And if any of those came up to me and started speaking to me in Icelandic, I would just answer in English. I was like, no, I need a break. I need a break from Icelandic right now. I did make some progress. I almost managed to roll my R's consistently as well. Every time I attempted to roll an R, it was super close. I have been trying to roll my R's for 14 years. I'm 28, so that's half of my life so far, and I have never managed it. I've got close, but never managed it. And I did get very close in the second week of this challenge, and I really thought I was going to nail it, or hoped at least that I was going to nail it by the end of the challenge. Then we came into week 3 of the challenge, and that was when I really wanted to stop. It started to feel really tedious and I just wanted it to be over. I also wasn't sleeping well that week, so I was making a lot of mistakes. I was sometimes slurring my words because my tongue was tripping over what I was saying, and I just wasn't having a good time. We persisted, we carried on, but I was done. I wished I'd only made a 2-week challenge at that point, just at the first time we're doing this challenge, having maybe a shorter time and not committing a month to this. But we did persist and got through that awful week. And then we came to week 4, which was the final week, and I felt a lot better again on that week. I don't know what happened on week 3, but week 4 felt a lot better again. I was doing much better than I had the week before, and I was honestly a little bit sad that the challenge was coming to an end, but I was also super excited to be speaking English at home again. And in the last few days of the challenge, that was when Russia invaded Ukraine, and we were talking in English about that situation and news updates, just because I would have no idea how to even talk about war in Icelandic. I'm sure I will learn over the next few months. That will probably be the next lot of vocabulary that I learn, because that's what's in the news at the moment, unfortunately. It's an awful situation, what's happening over there. So we were using a bit of English in the last few days just to talk about that situation. So that was how my month went, speaking only Icelandic with my boyfriend. So even though I was using a little bit of English at work with colleagues, I was using mostly Icelandic because I still speak Icelandic with a lot of colleagues at work, and I was only using Icelandic at home. I will do it again in the future, I think. It helped me a lot, definitely. I improved quite a lot. But I did reach overload by week 3. I do tend to reach overload anyway when I'm studying a lot of Icelandic. There will be a point where it gets too much and I'll just not be able to do any Icelandic. But we will do it again in the future. I think if I did it again next time, I'd maybe set aside like an hour a week just to speak English to try and stop getting burnt out from it. But overall, it was a good thing. It was great, actually. And I would recommend it. if anyone here has an Icelandic partner or a roommate or just someone who will speak Icelandic with you for a month, give it a go and see how fast you learn. Just see how much you can learn in a month and see how much you improve. And if it doesn't work out, you can always try again. And maybe it doesn't even need to be a month. Maybe it could be just using Icelandic for a week, or maybe just a day if you're a beginner. Just try it for a day and see what happens. So that's all I have to say about that today. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!